So Berlin-Delhi reconnection, talking about India-Germany relations. So current Chancellor of Germany is Olaf Scholz. So it is stated that the visit, the German Chancellor has the potential for India to strengthen ties with Europe. So unlike Russians and the Chinese, Germans might not be good at selling dreams of a new global order, but they bring solid capabilities that India needs in transforming itself at home and accelerating its global rise. So we have special bond before and after India's independence. They have had a formal strategic partnership also in place since 2000, and it has not been easy to translate the intent into the outcomes. So Scholz promises to break from this poor record of the past, and it is ready to reset India's relationship amid the arguments over Ukraine. It seems counterintuitive. And then India's reluctance to condemn the Russian invasion of Ukraine angered many European countries. So, but it is their stance. India is not reluctant to condemn the Russia's invasion. We have our own way of putting it out. So, yet, as the war is dragged on, there is no doubt Ukraine has added to the urgency of rethinking again German and the European relations with India. Then we talk about even Britain, France, Italy as well as the powers like Poland. They are on the upswing. Relations with the old powers. So we are focusing equally on strengthening them and also with Germany. So a recent paper also published by again Germany showcased new strategic approach to India days before Scholz arrived in Delhi. So four ideas stand out. One, Berlin's recognizing growing international silence of India. Again, it is their interpretation. India, we will not agree to this, that India is internationally silent on this. And the world's most populous nation, the stable democracy. So this is one acknowledgement coming from Germany. So Global South cooperation is going to play important, integral, and central role in future development. Second, Germany notes the divergence with India on Russia's war in Ukraine, but also recognizes the need to build bridges through dialogue in spirit of trust and identify joint initiatives of strengthening our relations. Third, it underlines importance of deeper economic ties with India in increasing turbulent Indo-Pacific region. At the same time, and reversing 4 decades of deep commercial engagement with China is not on cards as of now. So even if like Germany is also having its own approach, that if it is not going to reverse its relations or not want to again tinker with its relations with China, given how it is looking at its relations with India. So similarly, India has also its own stance when it comes to Russia-Ukraine war or its relations with other countries. Fourth is Germany wants to be a strong security partner for India. It wants to be again a security partner. So maritime security can be one of the areas. Reciprocal access arrangements between Indian armed forces and the German counterparts in even the Indo-Pacific. And from India's perspective, most important new element is the German promise to help India make weapons at home. So here again, talking about joint ventures, technology transfer, indigenization, and again, make in India and self-sufficiency. So negotiations on the acquisition of submarines from Germany could provide proof of German commitment to modernize India's defense industrial base and the relationship. And progress in implementing these ideas is bound to lend geopolitical heft to Indo-German relationship. So independent India drifted away from the Anglo-Americans during the Cold War. So as we talk about the non-aligned movement, so it can be again an example of that. So as China's rise challenges India's interest, India has moved closer to US, but there is big room for Europe in India's calculus at the same time. Facing troublesome China is the challenge, weakened Russia, and meddlesome America. So as we're talking about I think Oshik, you were mentioning about that 2.5 something thing that, it was 2.5 bipolarity that
हाँ मतलब कि हाँ
is
दो पोलर हो गए यूएस एंड चाइना 0.5 क्योंकि रशिया इज ए स्मॉल इकोनॉमिक कंट्री, इट इज़ लेसर देन इटली।
Italy.
लेकिन तब भी उनके पास ह्यूज रिसोर्सेज है, ह्यूज मिलिट्री, इवन स्टॉक पाइल और न्यूक्लियर वेपन, और आज भी जियो पॉलिटिकल उनके पास बैकिंग है। तो इसलिए 2.5 बोला।
Hmm. So, fragile peace, we're talking about again a recent terror attack in Kashmir is a reminder that Center UT's new government cannot afford to lower their guard. So, Z More tunnel project at Sonmarg on the Srinagar Leh highway, which the victims were engaged in as part of the larger initiative to create all-weather, all-year connectivity, firstly. And road project is significant for both security and tourism. So, militants they had so far kept away from major infrastructure projects in the valley. So we can also talk about somewhere the terrorism or instability is also taking the form of urban terrorism also. Somewhere we can say that as well. Strengthening of counterterrorism grid in the valley is important. Stringent security clampdowns has led to significant reduction of late in the military activities. Also, specifically after the abolition of Article 370, we have seen this change in a major sense. And terrorist activities has also followed an unmistakable pattern of late. So insurgents, they've not been averse to shifting to areas where their imprisonment has also faded in the past 2 decades. Then attacks on buses carrying the pilgrims in the Risi district in June, again, that was also a major attack. And then there were recent elections also. So there's always this constant fear of an attack. So role of SEO can play an important role here. Like we have the RATS framework under the SEO, the regional anti-terrorist structure. So even in SU, this Kashmir issue was not, I think, taken up recently by the Prime Minister of Pakistan. He desisted from this, raising this issue at the SU because always India's stand has been that it is a bilateral issue between India and Pakistan, and we do not allow any third party intervention or any kind of mediation. So US customs wall, why Indian exporters need to be queued into strictures on the Chinese companies. So Indian companies are not plugged into the dynamics of Chinese domestic politics, definitely, and their inability to keep track of the locations within China from where the raw materials, components are sourced, illustrate the need for more in-depth assessment of China by India Inc. Like it can be on the basis of consultancy, especially foreign, rather than the homegrown research on China is creating a new set of longer term problems. So, like here, talking about the actions are in line with the UFLPA, the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act. Recently, we talked about this, the thing again related to solar panels manufacturing and how China has been using forced labor, specifically in the Uyghur province, and which is there in the Xinjiang. Uyghur Muslim minority community here, and it is dumping the solar panels also the solar photovoltaic modules. So these two concerns of late we see. So US has put up, I think, huge amount of, or it has increased the customs against those imports coming from China. Now the problem is, what is the alternative? Where are we going to ensure that that gap is filled up? Because if we import less from China, so that's the same question, and it's also related to somewhere the availability of other raw materials like semiconductor chips at the same time. So in India, we talked about how we are giving a boost through the production linked incentive scheme for the local manufacturing. For example, like Vari Energies is one of the largest producer in India domestically. So MSMEs have important role, but here also technology, somewhere technology transfer, although we are working upon it, but still that competitiveness and expertise is still a challenge for us. And then availability and then import dependency even on the raw materials to manufacture a solar module. And then high efficiency एक दूसरा challenge इसमें. So we have accelerated our efforts towards self-sufficiency and PLI scheme, as we're talking about. So short-term challenges remains. They are inevitable for the firms. So Ashik, you can take up this one. Neither victim nor villain.
इसमें बात हो रहा है कि जो माइनॉरिटी है इट कंप्राइजेस सेवरल डाइवर्स कम्युनिटी, लेकिन जब माइनॉरिटी का इंडिया में बात करते हैं तो मोस्टली इट इज़ रिलेटेड टू वन कम्युनिटी पर्टिकुलर। तो ये वही लिखा हुआ है कि इट इज़ नाइदर विक्टिम नॉर अ ऊपर में क्या,
विलेन।
हाँ नॉट अ विलेन। हाँ मतलब दोनों है। तो विलेन समझ जाओ किसका बात हो रहा है कि हाउ इट इज़ क्रिएटेड, नैरेटिव क्रिएट कर जाता है, एंटी रिलीजन रेटोरिक इन द मीडिया एज वेल एज सोशल मीडिया, डिस इन्फॉर्मेशन कैंपेन किया जाता है अगेंस्ट द माइनॉरिटी। एट द सेम टाइम माइनॉरिटी इज नॉट ऑलवेज द विक्टिम। सम केसेस में दिखाया जाता है कि उसमें जो टेंडेंसीज है विथ रिगार्डिंग टू द बोल सकते हैं मार्जिनलाइजेशन, एक्सक्लूजन, कास्ट डिस्क्रिमिनेशन विद इन द माइनॉरिटी एज वेल होता है, लेकिन उस पर एड्रेस नहीं किया जाता। तो ये सब बात करें कि दोनों के अंदर में प्रॉब्लम, ये एड्रेस है इसमें पूरा।
ओके।
That is why we have to focus on heterogeneous minority rather than homogeneous thinking in minority। कि माइनॉरिटी बोलने से एक ही दिमाग में आता है, बाकी जैन सिख क्रिश्चियन का जो एस्पेक्ट है वो कहीं ना कहीं कम हो जाता है।
So it is, we can say also relating to कि कैसे even political party sets the narrative.
क्योंकि मेजरली जो स्पेसिफिक जो माइनॉरिटी है वो वोटिंग ब्लॉक है, तो उसकी जो आइडिया है और उसके अंदर जो रिग्रेसिव एलिमेंट है उसको भी कहीं ना कहीं कुछ पॉलिटिकल पार्टी यूज़ करती है, एज वेल एज मेजोरिटी है उसको भी पॉलिटिकल पार्टी यूज़ करती है। फॉर एग्जांपल तो इसमें जो विक्टिम और बुली का कॉन्सेप्ट हो गया या फिर, तो वह ज़रूरी नहीं कि वो, तो मिक्स्ड बैग है। तो इसलिए बोला जाता है कि यू हैव टू फोकस मच मोर ऑन डाइवर्सिटी इन माइनॉरिटी एज वेल, और सबका, ताकि सबका साथ सबका विकास तभी अचीव हो सकता है।
Okay. Don't discount the sales. So big retailers can assess the profit margins for the holiday sales that benefit the sellers and the consumers. So don't discount the sale also because उसके पीछे भी hidden profits हैं. It appears to be हमारे लिए as a consumer कि we are getting the discount, but actually real sense में that is not a discount. सो फॉर एग्जाम्पल ई कॉमर्स कंपनीज की जैसे हम बात करते हैं, अमेजोन बेस्ट सेलर बैज होते हैं, बैनर्स होते हैं फॉर द प्रोडक्ट्स विच आर सोल्ड 1000 नंबर ऑफ टाइम्स। देन लाइक इन टर्म्स ऑफ ग्रेट इंडियन फेस्टिवल सेल होती है विच इज अगेन एन इवेंट वेयर वी सी दैट मतलब ह्यूज अमाउंट ऑफ डिस्काउंट ऑफर किया जाता है। तो क्या ये अगेन फेयर कॉम्पिटिटिव market practices है when it comes to the competition in the market? क्या ये फेयरनेस या इक्विटेबल ग्राउंड प्रोवाइड करते हैं टू बाकी प्लेयर्स? बिकॉज Amazon इज हैविंग वन द लार्जेस्ट कंज्यूमर बेस हेयर। सो दैट इज द क्वेश्चन कि ये बाकी लोकल प्लेयर्स को कैसे इम्पैक्ट करेगा, जो स्मॉल रिटेलर्स हैं उनकी सेल्स को नेगेटिव इम्पैक्ट होता है। लाइक हॉलीडे शॉपिंग इज क्रेजी इनफ इन इंडिया। सो हॉलीडे रिलेटेड सेल्स हो या चाहे फेस्टिवल रिलेटेड सेल्स हो, so like we see like Diwali of the corner. So with Diwali right around the corner, with all the cleaning and cooking, and how much time do you really have to analyze whether the sale looks too good to be true? So you're getting a discount, you go, you shop for your presents and save the worrying for something else. So आपको भी एक तरीके से relief feel होता है. So discounts are real because the big retailers, they're able to optimize on various price volume mix for hundreds of products at the same time. सो कुछ सेंस में रियल भी होते हैं एज इट इज स्टेटेड, क्योंकि प्राइस और एक वॉल्यूम आप कितना सेल कर रहे हो, अगर आपका मार्जिन कम है बट यू आर एबल टू सेल मोर, तो ज्यादा वॉल्यूम आप सेल करके भी ज्यादा अमाउंट का प्रॉफिट अर्न कर सकते हो। सो इट इज नॉट जस्ट अबाउट वन प्रोडक्ट एंड अगेन द डाइवर्सिटी ऑफ प्रोडक्ट्स दैट दे आर एबल टू ऑफर बिकॉज ऑफ अगेन डिजिटाइजेशन। So customer really becomes king and gets the benefits of discount. So ये एक positive sense में they are ending this. So we can talk about the negative impacts on mom and pop shops, जो किराना local किराना stores हैं even when we talk about the role of Competition Commission of India. So ये अभी हमने बात करी terrorist attack in Jammu. So Z More tunnel, all weather connectivity. So from the perspective of security and boosting tourism is important. So it will provide all weather connectivity between Srinagar, Dras, Kargil, and Leh on NH1. So located at the altitude of more than 8,500 feet. So here we see that Ladakh is strategically vital for India. Indian forces are deployed against Pakistan in Siachen Glacier, in Turtuk subsector, Baltistan, Pakistan occupied Kashmir. So Galwan clashes, Zozila tunnel project we mentioned है यहाँ पे 14 kilometer long, connect Sonmarg in Kashmir Valley to Dras in Ladakh. So map पे भी the route has been showed to all weather connectivity even up till the Leh region. So off late we are seeing we have now two all weather connectivity roads connecting to Leh. So C. elegans is a simple microscopic worms, studying which has won scientist 4 Nobel Prizes so far. So 4 Nobels. So this is not this worm's first brush with international stardom. So we see the fourth Nobel resulting from C. elegans research, cementing the lowly soil worms outsides the role in scientific discovery. So here we see that the 1 millimeter nematode that has helped scientists understand how healthy cells are instructed to kill themselves and how the process goes vary in AIDS या strokes में या degenerative diseases में. तो healthy cells ही खुद को एक तरीके से they are killing themselves. तो ऐसे diseases में ऐसा देखने को मिला है. So it received Nobel in 2002. So self-proclaimed warm people बोला जाता है, recognized by Nobel Committee in 2006, which became the basis for entirely new class of drugs. ठीक है, तो बस हमें आई थिंक इसमें और डिटेल में जाने की जरूरत है नहीं. So even nematode were the first animal to have its genome entirely deciphered in 1998. The important fact. So experimental dream की बात हो रही है, तो again to test the hypothesis about fundamental biological concepts in a model that is easy to understand. Population question क्या है? We have concerns being raised over aging population, जिसको हम बोलते हैं कि turning this into an opportunity. We talked about the silver dividend या demographic winters की हमने बात करी. तो ये particularly South India में we see aging population will be growing. Can people be incentivized to have more babies? क्या ये एक sustainable या फिर right method होगा of again ensuring that the population increases? We have that longer window of demographic dividend at the same time. And internal migration का क्या role है? So firstly, understanding the demographics, population by percent in different age brackets, if we look between 2011 and projection है by 2036 का. So 0 to 14 years में decline होगा. Right now, like 2011 census के basis पे 31%. It will decline to 20%. 15 to 59 years of age में 60.7%, and then increase होने वाला है up till 65%. तो ये जो age bracket है, this is the youth or the labor force we can talk about. The demographic dividend up till it is believed कि 2036 तक भी we will be having this opportunity, and 60 plus का जो share है that is going to definitely increase. So we say that जो 0 से 14 years वो भी dependent population है, children like below 18 years. So उसका share कम होके we see the share of the old population or aging population is going to increase up till 15%. So ये डेटा की बात हो रही है फर्स्टली अबाउट द एजिंग पॉपुलेशन, ओवरऑल पॉपुलेशन साइज इन इंडिया, हाउ दैट इज चेंजिंग. सो ये हमने एज पर्सपेक्टिव से बात कर ली यहाँ पे. We see even the total fertility rate is closer to the replacement rate. So that is also one of the changes that has happened. And why is an aging population and relatively smaller population हमारे लिए concern है? Because aging population जो है, it is considered to be dependent population. So this can be one of the aspects कि इसको dependent से हम कहीं ना कहीं अगर कुछ परसेंट ऑफ द एजिंग पॉपुलेशन को इंडिपेंडेंट भी अगर बना सकते हैं विद द हेल्प ऑफ फाइनेंशियल प्लानिंग या रिटायरमेंट प्लानिंग, तो दैट कैन हेल्प अस इन सम वे इन रिड्यूसिंग द एडिशनल अमाउंट ऑफ fiscal burden that would be increasing on the government going in the future. So 2/3 of the total population is in the working age bracket. It implies a dividend. तो 2/3 ये वाली बात हो रही है, 60% जो करंटली है, दिस इज द डेमोग्राफिक डिविडेंड. डिपेंडेंसी दो काइंड की होती है, दोज बिलो द एज ऑफ 15 एंड अगेन वही दोज एज्ड अबव 60. तो इट इज नॉट जस्ट अगेन रिलेटेड टू द फाइनेंस ऑल्सो, बट इमोशनल सपोर्ट की भी बात जब हम करते हैं, या जो होम different NGOs are working upon again how they are working on the homestays for the aged population. So their role is also important. So how will be managing this entire ecosystem एक हमारे लिए challenge है. तो administrative challenge भी increase होता है, financial challenge भी, fiscal deficit के perspective से, fiscal management के perspective से, and from the perspective of the emotional support और जो health care burden की भी हम बात कर सकते हैं from the perspective of increased diseases. So, do government policies to boost fertility, as Naidu mentioned, work? So recently we saw that like countries like Japan, China, countries in Europe, they're also struggling with the same challenge of aging population. There's no real evidence that people will have reached a certain level of prosperity and education can be incentivized to have more babies. So family planning की एक तरीके से यहाँ बात हो रही है कि whether having more babies is going to definitely that is not going to be a solution for dealing with the aging population. वो एक अलग aspect है. So virtually nowhere in the world, be it Japan, China, Korea, France, they have pro-natalist policies working. So even Scandinavian countries may we see that fertility rates are plummeted to very low levels. So gender equality पे focus करना, family support, child care support, paternity leaves, ये सब ज़्यादा important role play कर सकती है ना positive sense. So अगर incentives work नहीं करेंगे, what is the way forward to address the concern? So यहाँ पे लिखा है simplest solution is internal migration. So 3 contributors to total population: fertility, mortality, and migration. So migration can even out the imbalance that is caused by the mismatch in the pace of demographic transition between North and South India. So ये particularly इस context में बोल रहे कि how migration can help us in filling up that gap. And what's more is that southern states will get people in the working age. So here migration is again one thing, but again वो solution हो सकता है up till when we are seeing कि हमारे growth में, economic growth में, जो demand for labor force है, that is also not having uniform pattern across different states. So regional imbalance है even in terms of growth, तो तब तक वो हमें help कर सकता है. But since right now we are a developing country, we aspire to be a developed country by 2047. So demand for labor force और ज़्यादा increase होने वाली है. So again ये भी complete solution हम नहीं बोल सकते. Internal migration is going to provide us. So this is a model even USA is also employed over the decades. It's immigrants, their economic output, and their fertility has helped sustain America's economic dominance over the world. But again, America is already a developed country. And even जो Indian diaspora की भी हम बात करते हैं USA, so they are one of the major contributors right now. सो सैटेलाइट स्पेक्ट्रम की बात हो रही है, ये हमने बात करी थी कि इसमें अभी तक गवर्नमेंट ऑक्शंस नहीं करती हैं. दिस इज व्हाट द डिफरेंट मार्केट प्लेयर्स आर डिमांडिंग फॉर कि ऑक्शंस किए जाने चाहिए. दैट इज सीन टू बी मोर ट्रांसपेरेंट, मोर फेयर, more competitive, and more open in nature. But government we see that these are allocated through administered prices. So firstly, our International Telecommunication Union, specialized agency of United Nations, so they have coordinated and they are managing on this particular area. So like जो terrestrial spectrum है which is used for mobile communication, satellite spectrum, it has no national territorial limits नहीं होती है उसकी. So due to this international character, role of ITU becomes more important. So जैसे spectrum for SATCOM की बात हो रही है, it is part of the first schedule of the Telecommunications Act 2023 also. So it shall be assigned on the basis of this act, and administrative process hai, under the act means assignment of the spectrum without holding an auction. So India में Department of Telecommunication has asked TRAI, which is the regulator, to come up with the methodology. क्या methodology हम follow करने वाले हैं to assign this spectrum. So pricing models कैसे रहने वाले हैं, तो इसके basis पे GOS submitted to the regulator. And in response, for example, Musk, he posted on X, that is Twitter, formerly Twitter, that an auction process would be unprecedented as the spectrum was long designated by the ITU as a shared spectrum for satellites. So SATCOM और उसके अपने benefits हैं. They do not require wires to transmit the data. They're alternative to ground-based communication, which is called the terrestrial networks, like जो cable, fiber या digital subscriber line है. और end users के लिए, such as homes and businesses, satellite-based communication and broadband services offer two key benefits: wider coverage, more resilient network. So even the latency of SATCOM services can at times be higher than the terrestrial broadband network. तो ये important चीज है. It is not always higher than the terrestrial broadband network. ये important article है from the perspective of prelims and our understanding related to this. So use of satellite allows communication networks to reach remote locations that the mobile telephony cannot access. So satellite phones के में बात करते हैं in tough terrains that can help. Satellite based internet की भी ऑफ लेट हम बात करने लगे हैं, is also believed to be more resilient than the terrestrial one, and it has fewer components on the ground. So it, from the perspective of even our security also, this would become more important. If it is requiring less amount of equipment, so there would be less chances of even any cyber attack happening, or even the impact of magnetic storms also. So size of SATCOM sector is currently stands at $2.3 billion a year. India is ranked fourth in terms of investments in the sector globally. Like investment bank Morgan Stanley is estimated roughly 290 million households in India are untapped with broadband. 290 million. So there is a strong market. So government is going to extend the UDAN scheme by 10 years. So this is important again from the perspective of regional connectivity and at an affordable price. So उड़े देश का आम नागरिक, this was introduced in 2016, 10 years के लिए लेके आए थे, but now further 10 years के लिए इसको और आगे extend किया जाएगा. So it has led to firstly increase in number of airports also and air routes. So even airports construction की वजह से भी जो surrounding area में जो hub and spoke model based हम development की बात करते हैं, तो even वो भी हमें देखने को मिल रहा है. तो Airports Authority of India का important role है in terms of the infrastructure and the maintenance. So total of 86 aerodromes comprising 71 airports, 13 heliports and 2 water aerodromes. They have been operationalized so far. 2,80,000 flights. इससे भी ज़्यादा है. So growth outlook backed by robust domestic engines. As per RBI's bulletin, so it projects India's economy to grow at 7.2% in the current financial year. So slackening of momentum हमें देखने को मिला था in Q2 due to the idiosyncratic factors. So this is the keyword, idiosyncratic factors. So if we look at particularly like unusually heavy rainfall was there in August and September, which is again because of climate change. And looking ahead, private investment that is showing some encouraging signs in terms of indicators, and also consumption spending is shaping up because of the festival season. So कुछ permanent factors, कुछ sustainable factors हैं, कुछ seasonal factors हैं. And also here we can talk about the role of monetary policy in terms of our expectations about the beginning of the rate cut cycle. And impact of inflation definitely is going to be impacting the momentum. Profit booking ahead of the US polls, and FPIs, they continue to be net sellers in the government debt. So net sellers, it means now, firstly, we see that the yield difference between India and US, that is narrowing down. Plus US elections, that is also one of the important factors why they are net sellers. And if the difference is narrowing down between the yields of the two countries, so people will shift their investments more towards US because it is their home country. It is considered to be, again, better placed to India's economy, and being a developed country, more safer. So more investment shifting there. So more capital outflow from India. So here, for example, first is a fully accessible route of for the government securities which exist in India. Clearing Corporation of India is there, which has important function of again clearing the transactions and total return swaps positions. So these are mostly unhedged due to the volatility in the global bond yields. So offshore derivative instruments may TRS is an example. Offshore is because you are again investing in another country's debt or security market. So because of higher capital outflow, pressure on rupee is going to increase, which is already, I would say, which is already there, and RBI is dealing with it. Trouble in the air, India needs legislative muscle to tackle the spate of hawks bomb threats to the airlines. So one of the solutions that it is proposing is having a law regarding this because it creates psychological distress. And we see, for example, the International Civil Aviation Organization, they've studied guidelines honi chahiye from different countries. And even like different countries, we see that they are having a law regarding the same. For example, there are stringent anti-bomb hawks laws, like USA is there. So it has 5-year imprisonment with $5,000 of fine. Similarly, UK has it. So off late, because of these isolated incidents are on rise, this is one of the solutions we can talk about dealing with these cyber criminals. So a strong stance on the same is needed. So we see that Indian Penal Code के अंदर where the imprisonment varies from 6 months to 3 years. So firstly, dealing with that currently, like ये एक provision है under IPC, but we are not having a law. So India's effective sovereign debt overstated. यहाँ पे सबसे important चीज है इसके components, ये prelims में directly पूछे जा सकते हैं कि what different components that constitute India's government debt. तो ये table में जितने भी हैं सब हमारे component of the debt. एक aspect हमारे लिए ये है जो net government debt to GDP ratio है that has fallen. Financial year 20, financial 2024 के कंपैरिजन में फ्रॉम 67% to 61%. तो ये बीच वाले फिगर्स जो यहाँ पे डेफिनेटली सारी चीजें इंक्रीज हुई हैं बिकॉज ये कोविड की वजह से जो इम्पैक्ट देखने को मिला. सो नेट गवर्नमेंट डेट टू जीडीपी रेशियो अगर डिक्लाइन हो रहा है तो वो सबसे रिलायबल मेजर हम बोलेंगे ऑफ हैविंग असेसिंग of the trend related to the government debt. So you can just go through the components. So standard operating procedures can help get better trade terms. So terms of trade जब हम बात करते हैं, how that is calculated, that is the ratio of the price of exported goods divided by the price of the imports. तो better terms of trade हमारे लिए होगा जब हमारे पास ज़्यादा competitive pricing होगा for the exports and less prices for the imports. So 14 countries or economic groupings with which India has the free trade agreements. So यहाँ पे free trade agreements, preferential trade agreements, तो जो पहला step होता है of strengthening the trade relations, वो preferential trade agreements से start होता है. Preferential trade agreement में कुछ goods and services के लिए we have the preferential affinity या उसके लिए we have comparatively lesser tariff compared to other products that we are same importing exporting with that same country. एंड इसमें जो कस्टम्स यूनियन होता है वो सबसे बड़ा फॉर्म ऑफ ट्रेड रिलेशन या मोर ब्रॉडर फॉर्म ऑफ हैविंग द ट्रेड टाइज होता है. तो कस्टम्स यूनियन में apart from the trade, the countries also agree on having uniform stance related to macroeconomic indicators and even the exchange rate. So वो customs union में होता है. सॉरी, customs union नहीं, customs area बोलते हैं उसको. So what can codification of trade talks achieve? So codification एक uniform standard होगा, that would be again globally agreed to. एक तो वो तरीके से it can help us in terms of reducing the time. So key elements होगा FTA evaluation studies, team formulation and stakeholder consultation, developing offer request list होती है, implementations after the sign off. So यहाँ पे दो keywords हैं, artificial intelligence in banking poses the issues of bias, तो algorithm bias के basis पे, and data ethics. तो AI based solutions भी at the same time like customer segmentation में robo advisory होती है, robo wealth management tools हैं to cross sell. तो जिन बैंक्स की ब्रांचेस बहुत कम है, they are more likely to adapt the AI based solutions. तो Department of Economic and Policy Research. Mitigate the impact of global shocks on Indian finance. Now, here it is providing us solutions in again a very crisp format, like cybersecurity is one aspect. So, cybersecurity standards, implementing the global standards is going to play important role. Sorted national cybersecurity strategy is again adapting to the new threats is important. Then we see that stress testing is important. Basal standards and regulatory reforms are needed. And this again, India is an example of it because we are not completely like adopted the national standards which are mentioned, the basal norms. We have again made certain changes given our unique situation of our the banking system or the finance ecosystem which exists in India. Then we talk about the treasury market and the vulnerabilities which exist. So this again needs to be dealt with. How, if there is again any global shock, how that would be having the vulnerabilities and impact on India's treasury market, and credit allocation and misallocation needs to be looked into properly. So in this case, we have been seeing that RBI playing an active role here in terms of again monitoring how the trends have been changing, particularly like in the context of NBFCs, we see that unsecured loans have been increasing. So this has been identified and plugged by RBI. So improve crisis management. If we look at particularly very short keywords, improve crisis management, regulatory frameworks, cybersecurity, and reduce credit misallocation is important to increase our resilience of Indian finance against global shocks. So that's all for the day. I hope there have been new elements that we have discussed in more comprehensive and short manner, focusing upon the keywords and the new words and keeping it very simple. So do subscribe to our channel and stay tuned for further detailed discussions in the upcoming sessions.